Are we live, Stephen?
We're live.
We're live here with the Insurance Gurus podcast. And today we have an amazing treat. So stay tuned. You're not going to miss this. All right, guys.
Welcome, everybody.
Me, Justin Brock, Stephen Martinez.
Hello.
Here with the Insurance Gurus podcast. And today we have a special treat, one of our longtime partners and friends, and somebody with a multitude of different experience levels in our industry. So this should be really good, eye-opening interview. We're going to dive in and try to figure out what this person knows, because we need to know what everybody
Another special thing we're doing today is we're going live. So typically we record these interviews and then we repost them. This is live. So if you're out there, comment, engage with us. If you have questions for Emily, a lot will come up. Maybe we can get to some of them, but I definitely want to take the time and let you guys know about Emily.
Yeah. Somebody asked me yesterday if these were live. Right now they are live. So please comment. We will be looking at the comments. And Stephen, go to that comments tab. I can't see them. So we got one on already. Cynthia Ivy says Emily, and Cynthia Ivy is one of our own natives here in Northeast Mississippi, and she crushed it this AEP. She was writing tons of applications. So shout out to Cynthia Ivy. Emily, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Getting ready for the season, the OEP season, not the holiday season.
Perfect. Yeah, OEP. Yeah, the holidays are just a blip on the path to prosperity in the Medicare world. So definitely, but you do have some good Christmas plans, I'm sure. We have families, so we have to pretend like we care about Christmas. I'm just kidding. We enjoy a little bit of time off, so I'm sure you guys have some big Christmas plans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in charge of bringing the magic, so I gotta do all the things. But it starts on Thursday and it ends on Sunday, so I'm done.
Yeah. So you got to do all the mommy stuff and the business stuff. That's crazy. See, I have Tempest at home taking care of all that, and that's something that a lot of us guys take for granted. So you're having to kind of wear a couple of hats there.
Yeah, I mean, I have good support from my husband too. I mean, he does take a big brunt of it when we're in the busy season and things like that. And I mean, he works a full-time corporate position. He just got a promotion too. So we're kind of having to navigate some uncharted waters. But regardless, our family comes first, and we make sure that the kids don't know any different. So
perfect. I try to have home, but like anytime Tempest went out of town last weekend to Chattanooga for a couple of days. And it was like I couldn't find my ground of what am I going to do with my time. So I didn't come to the office. Normally I'm coming to the office.
All this free time.
I didn't really even utilize. I took the kids to the movies. I'm like, what do we do? And they just kept looking at me like, you're not mom. But we had a good time, and she's back, and everything feels whole again. So, well, good. We're going to get ready for OEP. We're going to do all these things. But Emily, we want to dive in and find out how you came into the industry. We love to know these stories, and I know a little bit about your background, being that you were with carriers originally, which I think has really helped you in understanding the ins and outs of how they think a little bit better, which allowed you to,
you get all that inside knowledge.
You got the inside scoop, insider trading, if you will, but legal. So Emily, when did you come?
The insider trading.
When did you come into the biz?
When I graduated from college, I went and worked for doing a sales job, and we had to cold call like 50 businesses a day. And I mean, cold call, like where you walk in. And I was like the longest standing employee there. I was there for like 9 months. And then I transitioned to open up my own agency with State Farm. And it didn't take me very long to realize like I didn't want to do that. So I became a broker with Medicare products back before there were like all these guidelines. This is where you could write apps every 90 days and there wasn't really that many enrollment periods. And I mean, you could get paid like $500 an app plus a couple hundred in bonus based on, different tier. I mean, it was like the Wild Wild West. And then that same year, like I was only going for about maybe a month and a half. And then the CMS guidelines hit and I had no clue what to do, and neither did anybody else. So I applied to work for a carrier. Actually, one of them reached out to me from a training and asked if I'd be interested. And I'm like, well, I'm a broker, so I better. And that's how.
That's what broker really stands for. Is most brokers are broker than everybody else that they work
yeah.
with.
They put the broken broker.
Yeah. So
I think it's important for people to know that, though, you don't have the answers to everything. And I feel like when you have been broke and you're trying to figure things out, like that's just an honest thing. I mean, a lot of people act like they're all like they woke up with millions of dollars and apps in the bank, and it's like, no, people had to like fight tooth and nail for that. So
yeah,
that's how I got started.
You got to spend a lot of time and a lot of money and normally both. And, most people don't think, or they think that it's easy. They see somebody else do it, or they think, oh, I can do that. Unfortunately, we probably have one of the biggest divisions of income of any industry because most brokers are broke. And, then there's the select few that make it past that little hump and, and they're doing very, very well, but there's a huge division.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like working 2 jobs to get that done.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was a time when I almost went and started delivering pizzas at night to help and then run appointment all day. I got around it, but I was willing to. And I think some people need to be willing to do whatever they have to do to make it work. I was on an interview with the Insurance Dudes podcast the other day. The dudes, we're the gurus, they're the dudes. There's also the guys. But
I should do one for dudettes, I think.
Yeah, the Insurance Dudettes. So we were over on that podcast and they were like, what's your biggest advice for somebody new to insurance? And I was like, prepare to eat shit for 2 to 3 years because it is hard, very hard if you're going to really make it. So, and if it's not too hard in the beginning, you're probably doing something wrong. So something unethical.
Or you're plugged into
aligned, or you're aligned with the right people. And that's just rare. So if you're aligned with the right people, I mean, like we have people in our office that will make 6 figures their first year, but they're LOAs and they chose that route so that they could, build their knowledge and not have to go and fight tooth and nail. Like selling, I think, is the easiest part of the business. It's actually getting in front of the people, the marketing that's like the toughest because that's what you need to scale.
I told our agents the other day, being LOA is like being in an indexed annuity. There's very little to no downside risk.
Yeah.
And there's still significant upside. It's capped to some degree because, on the far end, like if you do really well, you're going to come out really good. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I can come out even a little bit better because I took on the risk and you didn't, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's wrong because when we sell a lot of index annuities and it's a great product for some people. There's some people that are extremely risk, like they want the risk. There's some people that want the MIGA, and the MIGA is like the salaried hourly job, no commission, anything, right? So I was trying to put into terms that they understand by learning what we do. Opening up your own business and starting from scratch and building it. I mean, that's like going in on penny stocks.
Well, like what just alluded to, a lot of agents are really good at sales. Sales is not a problem at all for them, right? But the marketing part of it, that's where people a lot of hurdles, and you just wall don't even want to start. And if you do start, it sends you down a lot of rabbit holes. It takes you away from selling, and so then you have to come into this, time management system. How much time do I need to focus on marketing versus how much time do I need to be in front of people selling?
Well, and
That's
even
a lot.
on the reporting side, like if you like people have a hard time doing CRMs, like they're like, oh yeah, I'll do that later, or keeping track of their numbers, or like actual running this. I always talk about that, like running a business, like stop being an insurance agent and run your business. But people aren't doing that part, and that's tough too. It's not just about getting in front of people, but like, is what you're doing to get in front of people affordable? Is it, does it make sense from a cost perspective? Are you tracking those numbers? And most people are not. So they're just like, oh, I made a sale. I mean, sure, I spent $900 to get in front of that person, but I made my sale, so it's just things like that. Like, and then I think running a business is really tough too. It's not just the technology and staying up to date on that, which you guys have helped me a lot with that, but it's just all the other things like employees and contracts and all the other things of the
There's
business.
so many things. One day I actually listed out I was just like trying to list like all the things a business owner does,
all the titles that you could have as a business
and
owner.
there's like, it was like, you had your QuickBooks accounting, you had your actual meeting with your accountants, you had your filing, your doing your annual LLC reports, you had your setting up your payroll tax with the Department of Revenue, you had your and that's just like getting down the financial. Like I was trying to go through like, and then it's contracting when you're an insurance agency owner, contracting those people, answering those individual questions. It's the marketing side, it's the sales side. It's be completely responsible for everything. But there's so many. When we listed it and really started listing every task that I had some sort of part in, and thankfully we've gotten to the point where now it's like I know it exists, but I've started getting other people to do it. And there's sometimes we see these people that are just like independent agents, and they're like, they have no staff. Maybe they have a VA in the Philippines or something. They're like, oh, that's my staff member. And then they'll say, yeah, I'm just setting up my automations and I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And and then they'll be like, well, I want to get all the things that you guys have. And
in the middle of AEP.
Yeah. And then they want to do it in the middle of AEP. And then it just really, it bothers me when I'm talking to them, because I'm like, I can tell, we can try to help you learn exactly how to do what we do. But the fact of the matter is we have 20 people working on it all the time, And so the idea that, an independent agent is going to be able to do every single thing we do is ridiculous, because I work 70 plus hours a week and think about this stuff 24 hours a day. Like I'm obsessed with it. And I still have, 16, 17 employees, like, and then some other private contractors, right? Like our copy, those are people that aren't even employees. We have private contractors writing
tons of copy,
writing 20, 25, 30 articles a week right now. There's just so many things that go into it. But anyway, it is tough, but you don't have to do everything we do to be successful. There's a ladder to climb. And initially, people without a lot of money, I'm always telling you need to go out and like you said, claw for that business by going to networking groups, meeting people, going to doctors' offices and hospitals. If you have any money to spend a little bit of it in marketing. But the fact is, most people, they don't have money to spend and have a lot of time to spend. So anyway,
you got to put in your sweat equity if you don't have any cash, right? So that's kind of what we try to get our agents to do. And I'll do strategic marketing plans where we like identify like the 10 places they need to go head up. And I mean, the ones who are successful go, and the ones that aren't don't. So, like it's just also part of being a business owner is making yourself work. And even right now, like there's a lot of people who are already on Christmas vacation. And I'm like, no, I'm still here pushing through, trying to get our first quarter marketing out and running so that we can work on other things like our automation workflows and the other things that help kind of improve our business. But it requires the discipline. So, my business coach, I always talk about him all the time, but he always says you're going to have two things you're going to face. You're either going to face discipline, which kind of sucks at that moment, but you'll reap the rewards later, or you're going to face regret. If it does not matter, you will always have one of them. So
yeah, it's a good decision to make. So and when you were saying that, I was thinking about there's so many people that need like a little bit of mindset coaching. I'm probably this is a consistent theme for me to tell people, like, you need a little bit of mindset. You need a lot of bit of picking your damn foot up and putting it in front of the other one.
Yeah.
I know too many people that every day are watching the mindset stuff, mindset. Like, if you need mindset coaching every single day and every single hour, you got a real problem in your head that needs some sort of like come to Jesus moment somewhere. The rest of us, like I'm a Grant Cardone guy. I need the guy that just looked in. I'm not saying he's right about everything, but when he says, quit being a little bitch, that's all I need. I'm like, you're right, and then I go work.
Right.
Some people need
I'll
like
go
somebody
do
to like,
it.
hold their hand, and so
Yeah, at some point you have to take the action.
you just have to do stuff. Do it.
Dude, well, I mean,
Doesn't have
what
to
it
be
feels
huge.
like. I mean, you know what it feels like to be in your car and it's raining outside. And you're like, dude, I don't really need the $270 this bad. Like, do I need to get out of the car? You know what I mean? Like, you have had those feelings where it's really, in Texas is freaking hot, So I'm like, I do not want to get out of my air conditioned car and go cold call this strip center to see if anybody can be referral partners. But it's like those little things that you do that in the long run are good. Now, I don't mindset a little bit every day is not a problem, but you don't do it during business hours. You do it after hours. So if that's what you need to keep going, no problem, but do it after hours. So during your day, like you should be doing things that are transforming your business. You shouldn't be doing like mindset. Like that's something you do. You get up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning and do that. Now I don't get up that early because I don't need mindset.
I come out. I don't do a lot of mindset. Every now and then I'll throw something like that on in the morning. Honestly, I like like a little bit of 3-6 Mafia or Mudvayne or something in the morning does it for me. So, I'm in my own head telling myself to quit being a whiner, so I don't really need it that much either. Occasionally, I do endorse some of the audio books that I've listened to that are good, but I mean, once you've listened to one or two of them, they're all kind of the same. They all talk about neuro-linguistic programming.
I think at least once a quarter, like it's good to like reinvigorate yourself, get back in there. Yeah.
Well, like when you can tell when you're like going into a dark place, like you can feel it. Like you're just like a naysayer about everything. And that's just not who you are as a person. So then you have to like listen to a little bit and get back on track. And I mean, I think I just like to feed my brain something productive every day, whether it's business related, mindset. I mean, I don't need that much mindset. So I focus on other things, other businesses, other opportunities. So like this year, we spent a lot of time going to events and kind of learning what people in our industry are doing. And now we're transitioning into other industries because those are where we want to invest our cash and things like that. So you gotta like feed your brain good stuff. But I'm also, I'm a gangster's paradise, a hip hop in the morning kind of person too. So
it gets it's either hard rock or like somebody got on to me for using the term gangster rap one time, but that's the way I know it. Like I'm talking about rap where they're like completely condoning gangster like behavior, and I'm somehow translating that into in Medicare though. Not illegal activity.
Just something to get the blood flow. Something that whatever hypes you up. I mean, that could be Celine Dion if that hypes you up, right? Like as long as it's getting going.
Celine Dion.
I'm not personally. No. me and Justin are very similar. I'm throwing like 311, something of that nature. Something with some good energy, some good vibes to just get you in that mood.
Yeah. So, and I have said before. That how many times are you going to listen to somebody tell you to write down your goals and not do it? Okay. How many times are you going to I mean that's like it's the same stuff over and over again, and if you're not doing it, then why are you even continuing to like listen to it? Like, oh yeah, that's good information, but I'm not going to do that, so what's the point anyway? But so Emily,
I mean, I think accountability is the number one thing you have to have as an entrepreneur. Because I mean, motivation and all that will come, but accountability, if you're not implementing the things, like when we went to all these events, we were like, how can you go to all these events? And I'm like, well, I'm going to things strategically to learn and plug holes in my business. And that's exactly what I go and do. And then I come here and do it like on that Monday, if not sooner. So every time I go to an event, I learn something, I immediately do and take action on it, because if not, it'll just sit in a notebook somewhere and I'll never look at it again. So you have to do that.
Something that one of our speakers said, I can't remember exactly who it was, but they were saying, take all these notes at the event and then come back and you take on your plane ride, or, you know, as soon as you get home, one thing that you took away from every speech, because you can't take away everything.
Yeah.
There's some things that are going to be more important or valuable to you than it is the next person. And so if you can take that away and actually implement it from each person or each individual that you've listened to that weekend, then I think you can take that. But I think, like you said, a lot of people take an overwhelming amount of notes and then you never go back and review that and take any action.
Well, like if somebody comes to behind the agency, that could happen here, like where so many people can come in and be like, okay, I want to do all of that. Well, figure out what's the next step, what's going to be the most fruitful, what makes the most sense, what's most practical for me to say is the next step. It's not that somebody has to come in and do everything. Like when we show everything that we're doing, we're not saying like this is the only way to do business. We're just saying this is the way we've evolved and continue to evolve. And we hope that that gives you some light on what, like maybe what not to do. A lot of taking in good information is also learning what not to do, because, you know, you can see from other people's mistakes. You know, I know your parents always said that growing up, you know, learn from my mistakes, you know, not don't do hardcore drugs because look what happened to us. Oh, that's my sorry, I'm just kidding. But so Emily, getting back to your trajectory, you went to work for a carrier, and how long did you do that?
Well, we went through 3 acquisitions. I want to say 2.5, 3 years. So it was a small carrier here called Bravo Health, and they were bought out by Cigna, or by HealthSpring, and then bought out by Cigna. And then I ended up leaving to go work for an FMO that was here in Texas. And I didn't like that. So I left and started my own agency with no money, nothing in my savings account, which, by the way, I made really good money when I was working for a carrier, but I didn't realize like all the tax side of things. So I paid a lot in taxes, and I still realized, I'm like, man, I'm making 6 figures and I don't have anything to show for it. Like that doesn't make sense. And so my dreams of corporate America were like, I'm not doing that. So that's why I started my own agency. And I had met my business partner, Kim, as part of, you know, I used to train her whenever, because she just started in the business too at that time. And then she decided she wanted to continue to work with me. So she came with me, and we were kind of like, you know, I was her upline and kind of helped her build her business a little bit. And then when she wanted to expand, I was like, well, we could just do it together. So
yeah. And that's something that I think is very interesting about your business, is that you guys focus on the Vietnamese market. And so it's not, you know, the traditional Medicare conversation that a lot of agents are having. You know, like I said, what Kim and you have built is a niche down Medicare market.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think niche marketing is it's the better way to go, just because it's easier to brand yourself than, hey, I can sell anything to everybody. Like that's really tough to do. So that we kind of fell in by accident. It wasn't like some genius plan. Like when you're out there marketing and you're going through all these different opportunities and stuff, when something presents yourself to you, you have to take action and kind of go deep into the opportunity. When you do that, then you're able to then have a huge book of business or a market share that you can leverage for other things when it comes to carriers and all the things.
Also for you guys, I would imagine a persistency play, because there's only so many people that are qualified by virtue of even being able to speak Vietnamese to take those policyholders away from you, and a lot of them are loyal, I believe, to Kim Ann. So and that brand, you know. So and I like what you said. It wasn't a genius plan. So a lot of people, somebody the other day said, "Hey, can you do a video on exactly how you, if you had to start over, would build the agency that you have right now?" And I'm like, a year ago, I didn't know I'd be doing what I'm doing now. 2 years ago, like, what I did was, when I saw opportunity, we would pivot and scale, you know. So it's a lot of seeing opportunity and capitalize on it, being quick to move, quick to act, and quick to try things. It's not about like having some genius plan to, like, I don't think most people that are president, maybe like when they're 25-year-old, I'm going to be president all the time. Like they're like, I'm going to be a senator, you know, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, there is a path for me to be president. And then they capitalize on it. But the concept of like, I'm going to do X, or I'm going to do and it's like this grand end goal. Like, I think it's probably good to have some goals like that, but you need to not be so married to that goal that you turn down opportunity after opportunity, because those opportunities that come up, those are the ones to capitalize on.
Another funny thing about that was that you've put a video out there starting from scratch, you know, what you would do if you were starting from scratch. And one thing you mentioned was it would be the same as if you did another video. It would be like repeating that video, because you wouldn't do anything differently from the start. You have to lay that foundation to start to build on.
Yeah.
And you do, because you're going to go through tough times too, that you learn from, that help you as you go into business. So there's not like a magical playbook or this secret. Nobody in this industry has some secret sauce. You know what I mean? There's people who are taking a risk and spending the cash or spending the time to like kind of see what works. And then when they find something that works, they go all in, and then they have to pivot to the next thing, because eventually that's not going to work anymore, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, in that starting from scratch video I did, I mean, I'm talking about dropping Medigap, rewrite, direct mail, lead cards. Because honestly, when I got started, it was a way to get my foot in the door and write business. And you can't, like, if I started over, and I like to say starting over knowing everything you know now, it's kind of silly, because nobody can start over knowing what I know now. Like, it takes so much time to build your mind over time. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, building a wall with bricks. Like, you can't like start over. If you started over and that whole wall already completed, like that is what your brain becomes, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like, the way I like to look at it is like a baseball. If you know how they make a baseball, it's a core, and then they wrap threads around it, right? Like, I got to have the core, and then I got to have each thread to go around to keep building to make that ball bigger and bigger and bigger. So like each thread is each year of me doing experience and running appointments and learning, right? Like, so I have to have that core to start, but then I have to have all the threads to build.
Even if I had all the product knowledge, what an unfair advantage that would be over the initial agent, because then I could start off like when I'm if you look at like in the original Matrix, when he keeps looking at the green screen and its numbers and he can't see it, and then eventually looks at it and he sees it. Like, when you first start going to an appointment, they're like, okay, you sell this Medicare supplement, or okay, you sell this final expense policy. And it's just this very basic, easy to understand, or okay, you sell this zero premium Medicare Advantage plan. The best agents over time build the knowledge to be able to sell more and more, to cross-sell cancer, to cross-sell dental, vision, and hearing, to look for, you know, a larger life insurance or indexed annuity opportunity, asking for referrals. Well, all the different things that make that client, you're adding more value to them, and they're adding more value to you, and your relationship becomes more valuable. Most people starting off, it is a little bit more transactional, because you only know how to do one transaction, and that's okay, because
that is okay.
Master that, and then eventually learn how to do one more thing and one more thing.
Well, and you get some people that are like, no, I got to know everything about it before I go in the sale. And they want to attend every training, every carrier training, every webinar. And I'm like, guys, like, you're spending so much time in all these trainings. Read the summary of benefits, because we do presentation, role playing, and things like that. Like, between the summary of benefits and our presentation, like, you can go and do it. And then you can just call me if you have a question and you're in the house, like, you know, or text me or whatever. And we even teach them how to say things a certain way so they feel more confident. Like, instead of like, well, I don't know, I just started a week ago. We don't say that. Like, we teach them things to say to help them transition to calling me.
It's the same thing that work in retail or a restaurant, and they say, why is this way? I don't know, I just started. Like, you're like, I felt like even as a 16-year-old, I was taught by either my dad or my first employer or somebody that you never say that. You always just own it and move on. Like, it's okay. So sometimes people are so afraid to get called out that they have to go to that excuse. Well, I just started. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you think that now you're going to get the sale? Do you think that now there's going to be a happy customer?
What happens to me a lot, because I ask about draft beer. Yeah. I ask about draft beer a lot. So waitresses are always like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, but you work here. Yeah. and these are your products that you're selling.
I used to be a waitress, and we had to taste the whole entire menu. Like, we had to that was part of the training. And like, you had to know like what you would recommend and why, and you would have certain people, and then you had to know how to upsell And I mean, even like I worked at a high-end restaurant one time, and I had to know, like, look, get the higher price bottle and then work your way down because you're not gonna be able to taste it. You know what I mean? You don't always, you don't buy expensive wine bottles when you're already buzzed. It's just no point, you know?
Right.
And
Well,
so when you tell people that, they're like, oh, okay, well, let me splurge on this bottle and the rest bring me the $25 bottle and call it a day.
I love a waiter or waitress that says, well, I haven't worked there very long. Like, yeah, you're a waiter or waitress. Odds are you're not going to work here forever, or you're doing something wrong in life.
Yeah.
Should be the goal shouldn't be to work here long.
It should be a
well,
stepping
I don't
stone.
know. There are some that make really good cash here in Houston. I knew some that worked at some of the the fine dining places.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing home $150 a year.
My goal, if I'm working in fine dining, is to be such a good server to those fine dining patrons that one of them with a huge business opportunity goes out on a whim and offers me a shot to hit that next level.
That's like precisely what happened with me.
Yeah.
When we were at an
fine
event,
dining restaurant, a guy offered me a sales job selling dental supplies, and I took it.
Yeah.
oh, perfect.
And now he's the chief marketing
Now I'm here.
officer of the largest Medicare brokerage in the whole country.
And such a great guy. You got so lucky finding that guy.
Okay, we're not the largest in the country, but we will be.
Not yet.
Because of this guy.
Yeah.
You got to speak in future or present tense.
That's right. The largest we are.
You are. You're just waiting for the agents to come and the deposits to go.
We're waiting for all you guys to come and sign up.
We're there. We just haven't accounted for it yet. So, yeah. And you said I broke down counterproductive because you talked about going to events and going to so many events. I've been to these, and this is like it's counterproductive for me to say we have an event, but I'm not the guy that tells everybody like go to all the events. I think events have done me well because of the networking and learning things. But I was already doing well, or had a good start before I started going to events. They were like a next level thing, right? And so I've been to several in the past couple of years and seen people that had not sold their first policy that had seen at 3 or 4 or 5 events.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's an event whore. And it just becomes, it doesn't make sense. It's not that you can't go to 3 or 4 or 5 events.
No.
But when you haven't even taken the first step and you've been to 5 events this year, like, and you've not even sold a policy, what's like, I don't even know if you're going to make a go with this.
What is the time?
Here's the thing is you can go, but you're not going to be productive because those events like suck the life out of me because I work the whole event. Like I am up early, networking all hours of the night, taking notes, finding like, about like little nuggets through all the speakers. Like it's really exhausting. And then when you come back, like you have to implement it. So it's just, each event is very exhausting, but for me, it serves its purpose. I ask a lot of questions about who's speaking, what am I going to get from the event, or else I'm not going to go. But honestly, like Kim and I just live in Houston, Texas. We know who our competitors are here. We didn't really know what anyone else was doing until we started. Actually, until we found you when we were funnel hacking. That's how we met Justin.
Right.
In case anyone knows. Is that a comma club over there?
That's right.
That is.
Yeah.
We need to get the 10 comma club. Honestly, I would love to apply for more of those, but we don't use ClickFunnels anymore. We build everything on WordPress. But we didn't start doing this. I actually huge advocate of ClickFunnels. Like for me early on when I was doing a lot of it myself.
It was easy and simple to get it built.
Just to get something out there. I mean, that's how we found you. And we came to Mississippi and before you even had it behind the agency. And you kind of helped basically what you did with behind the agency you already did. So, you know, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And that's how we got to know each other and stuff. But for me, I think when you go to these events, if you're a brand new agent, like you need to go to things that are a little bit more intimate. Not, in my opinion, I would pay to go to more things that are more intimate so you can learn a little bit from and be able to talk to everybody. I do think events are important, but I wouldn't be going for hype. I'd want to go for something very strategic in your business. And if you haven't written an app, I think going to one event is good, but you really need to go right business and focus on that.
Sometimes it can be it could be like a shot of adrenaline, from an event with no information. Doesn't really do you any good because you can get real discouraged when you come back and you're super hyped up, but you don't even know how to put the next foot in front of the other. So definitely initially it's honestly, somebody was brand new. They're like, hey, I'm getting my license. What do I need to do? I would not be like, go to an event.
Use money, go buy leads, go work, go sell, and then go to an event to like expand your business. I didn't know what everyone was doing. That's why we went.
People to get your residual income to where it can cover your basic necessities, and then have some additional funds.
So what do you think the timeline is? Okay, I'm brand new. I don't know anything about Medicare. I'm starting Medicare. What's the timeline to sitting in front of somebody? The timeline to go into my first event?
So from being brand new, I think that the first part of that timeline is important.
Getting in front of somebody, like
sitting in front of somebody and help them. I'm saying, so from the day that I got my license, 2 weeks tops, and I'm in front of people. And because you can't.
I said a year. He
did multiple parts of that timeline. Yeah. So if it's sitting in front of people, I'm licensed. 2 weeks later, I'm in front of people. And then probably a year, because I would want to commit a year to just the grind of pulling out. And look, my first year, I was looking at 3 to 5 applications a week. It wasn't like, now when we put up numbers and people are like, oh my God, that's crazy, you're lying or whatever. There's an evolution to that process to pouring that much business in. Yeah. In the beginning, it was direct mail, 3 to 5 applications a week. Now, eventually I was like, I don't want to do this forever. And I don't think anybody should be like trying to do direct mail forever. But I think almost everybody should start on one of the hard ways, just straight up telemarketing or direct mail. And telemarketing is harder and harder now because of all these Pakistani call centers.
Well, I think it could be hard to attend an event earlier than that, because you really don't know what everybody's talking about. You may not even understand all of it in your first month or 2 or 3.
I think I was 2 years in before I went to my first event. But I did pick up one of the biggest groundbreak, because I was already doing Facebook advertising, and I've told this before, but Medicare Bob mentioned something that made me kind of change what I was going to do, on Facebook advertising, the way that I did it. And so sometimes, like I tell people, the event itself didn't change me. It was fun, but it was one thing that I learned. It was meeting Medicare Bob and him becoming one of my best friends in the industry. And one thing he told me that made me go and tweak something, and my lead flow went, and then also the fact that I had a limited mindset. This is a mindset thing. And it wasn't like my mindset was, I was very hungry, but I didn't really understand what was possible when he started talking about spending $25,000 a day on lead flow and building, an agency, and the lifetime value of the client and the cost per acquisition. And for me, I started thinking, okay, I'm sitting here thinking small potatoes, because I'm thinking, how can I make these Facebook leads come to just me, when really I needed to be thinking about how can I scale this to the moon and create the apparatus to catch as much of it as possible.
That's right. I didn't go to my first event till it was my business coach, which that's when we started getting coached with him. But other than that, my first insurance event was this past year. I mean, I've been in the industry almost 15 years. So, I mean, I just think that as new agents, I think people need to get in front of people very quickly, start selling, and about a year after that, go and see what else is possible. But you should have the right partners that are like kind of telling you what's possible too. You know what I mean? Because I know some of these agents that I've met at some of the events, and they're great people and they have a lot of potential, but there are so many dang events are not working that I'm like, and then they're overwhelmed with information. They've been recruited by like 35 different people, and it's like everyone sounds good and they have no idea what to do, and then now they're stuck. So
No, that's absolutely right. So Emily, let's move on a little bit. So you guys start your agency, you eventually stumble in to the Vietnamese market that starts doing well. Now I think you're scaling past that, because I believe in riches and niches, but it's like, hey, let's get one niche to where it's growing, and I've got a team that's kind of continuing to nurture that niche and grow it. But there's a lot of ways to make money. And so now I'm growing. Okay, now I'm scaling out to here. I'm scaling into real estate syndication, some of the other things you've talked about doing before. I don't know if there's a question. I don't want to say when should somebody do that. It's very difficult to say. But what are the endeavors you're kind of down focusing your time on now, and why? What made you do that?
Well, I mean, we're still growing our agency, and I mean, we had a lot of things that we have to learn too, because even though we're niche, we do spend a lot of money on retention. And so now we're like, do we continue to do that? Or of course we'll continue to do what we do, but like then we have to scale into things that don't require as much cash flow to retain the business, right? But that's this one business, but this business runs really well on its own. So I think for when you're an agency or an agent, you're going to bring in so much cash flow and you're going to pay out the wazoo in taxes. So then you start thinking like, okay, how do I reduce my tax liability but increase my flow of income? And so you start looking at different things like, well, real estate's like the easiest way to answer that. But then you start going to events related to that and kind of learning, that option. Or like I have e-commerce stores. And so I just have, you start expanding your brain on how can I do other things that don't require a lot of my time so that my money can make money while I'm busy building my cash cow. So insurance is really a vehicle of cash flow for me to utilize in other businesses. I live pretty minimal. I don't live in like big $1 million houses or anything. Like, I mean, I drive an old car, and I mean, of course I can afford more, but I want to reallocate those dollars to something that's building my wealth. And that is where meeting my business coach changed my limited mindset of what's possible. Like I never realized like I could be a millionaire one day. Like that seemed like so far out there. Like only celebrities could have $50 million or $100 million. I didn't realize as an individual that I could do that, and so when you have that mindset and you start getting around other networks of people, then you're like, wait a minute, if they can do this, I can do this. And then you start heading in that direction. So it all started with me trying to figure out how to reduce my tax liability and then kind of spiraled from there.
Yeah. Well, that's yes. Yeah. So that's awesome because, well,
the best rabbit hole you ever went down.
Yeah. The tax liability thing is a real bitch. As Joe Namath would agree, nobody likes taxes, even Broadway Joe. Yeah, somebody actually mentioned this earlier. I am wearing a Joe Namath jersey today. No, I'm not a big supporter of his commercials, but we do have a production coming up for all of you guys that I think you're going to really like, and it is going to star Joe Namath. Me as Joe Namath.
We love Joe. He generates lots of calls to our office and lots of questions that we
yes it does.
We say, yes, we have them Joe Namath plans.
Yeah, you know what every good marketplace needs? Confusion. And who better to confuse the seniors of America than Broadway Joe?
I mean, he's helped us a lot. I didn't really think he would. Like at first it was kind of annoying, and then I'm like, wait, our clients are calling us, or I'm in these Medicare seminars that we do, and these people are like, how do I get that 148 back? And I'm like, well, you're a NASA engineer, so you're not gonna, but
you're a NASA engineer. Oh yeah, you're down in Houston, so
yeah, you're paying an IRMA.
Yeah,
you get the opposite.
Yeah, maybe
I'll give you this really cool form you can file with your Part B and reduce it when you go to retire.
Yeah, if we can get your income down from 700,000 a year, to about 250, you could probably save about 148 by reducing your IRMA.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's some geek joke. So people that are watching that don't know Medicare, what the hell are they talking about? So listen, you're on this endeavor, and we've talked about it, several things that you're doing. If people were wanting to reach out to you and get involved in anything you're doing, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Just follow me on Facebook. Get on my Facebook page, Emily Trevino, and just reach out to me on there in DMs. I'm on it all the time, answering a lot of questions, getting people. I actually have quite a few people who've been asking me about real estate and things like that. And I mean, I'm always available to help people figure out, that side of the business as well. So Facebook's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Yeah. Oh, and what you were talking about earlier is just I remember my fault. We said not having $1 million house, not having a bunch of cars, which I'm probably a little bit guilty of now. I splurge in those. I don't buy a lot of individual small things, but I have splurged a little bit there. One of the things that we focused on, or what we've train people to focus on is delayed gratification. So that's what you're talking about: delayed gratification, and then push that energy and effort into making more money now and amassing more wealth, or building a more credible long-term business strategy. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
but you have your stuff figured out too. I mean, you invest in real estate and you do the things that you need to do. So it's not like you just spent every dollar you had to buy the biggest house in Tupelo. You know what I mean? Like you are making life choices with your cash.
Thankfully, I'm in Tupelo too. So buying the biggest house in Tupelo is like
It's not
buying,
that hard.
a mediocre house in Houston, right? So,
Feasible,
Yeah.
yeah.
like
I'm
I,
also
I
not trying to buy the biggest house in Houston because it's like 50 something million dollars. So no, thank you.
yeah. Well, Joel Osteen owns it, so I don't know if he's giving it
Yeah.
up. Right?
Yeah.
Well, what a
Yeah.
business there, being a minister and using faith to take money from people.
Yeah. Well,
and not paying any taxes on it. So
or opening up your facilities so people can use it when we flooded the whole city. But I mean, I'm just saying.
yeah, why would you do that though? You don't want all those dirty people in your church.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Only
Jesus
if they
said that.
donate. Only if they donate as they walk in.
Wasn't Matthew 10 or something? We don't want all these dirty people in the chapel, something like that.
I don't know.
Just kidding. All right. Well, we appreciate you being on today, Emily. We
Definitely enjoyed it.
we have some more guests coming on today. We're doing 3 of these lives today, and so definitely get on here and check them out. And before we go, we have a word from our sponsor, Go Guru.